So, hey, John, how's our
Yeah.
load balancing system running on the front of our data center and our other stuff?
Oh, the F5, it's awesome. I've had so much positive feedback about that. It really improved the efficiency and being able to switch and all that stuff. I'm so excited about that F5. So why do you ask?
We're running F5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there a Oh, there's not another CVE of the week.
Oh, this one is going to be really interesting.
Uh, It's Friday, October 17th, and this is IT SPARC Cast CDE of the Week, where we talk about a common vulnerability and exposure entry that you need to know about and how to mitigate it ASAP. And this time, F5 is under the microscope, and what we're seeing ain't pretty. Lou, why don't you walk us through this?
This is both bad news and good news. All right. The bad news is, and we got this from TechCrunch and various places. It's sort of becoming wide news right now. Is that it was discovered that a government backed actor had long term persistent access into parts of F5's production network, which means they exfiltrated source code and customer information. So they were able to verify this. Apparently, the FBI found out about this uh, in August. Um, the Department of Justice authorized a limited disclosure in September, but by October, by now, they have to file with the SEC for the money parts because this is going to impact their income. So, what does this mean? It means somebody, and it is suspected that it's the Chinese government, although that has not been confirmed. Right? We did some poking around, managed to pull all of the source code for F5. Why does this matter? F5 has 85% of the load balancing market. 85%.
Yeah.
So, what this means is that they got the source code and all the vulnerability info. So, if they were tracking something that they hadn't yet released, well, guess what? Now they have that. And now they have the ability to go in and violate the number one load balancing system on the planet. So if you're running in the cloud, you're running in your data center, there's a very high probability you're running this stuff. We don't have a specific exploit yet. So the reason that we wanted to get on this one very, very quickly is because if you have F5 in your infrastructure, you need to live on their software updates page
Yeah.
starting now, right now. You need to check twice, three times a day to make sure that they haven't dropped a new thing. Because if this is what we think it is, it could be a very, very impactful exploit chain that could cause huge amounts of problems. Now, based on this discussion and other discussions we've had in the past, um, we all need to do a lot of introspection and work on tightening up our infrastructure. We definitely need to do that. There
Yeah.
are actors out there that want to exploit these vulnerabilities and go after it. So, what to watch for now? Look out for patch cadence and advisories. Look out, find out what the nation state is. We think it's China, but nobody's quite sure yet. And we don't know where this information is being spread. But the sophistication of this infiltration and the amount of time they were able to spend in the network points to somebody with extraordinary resources. Um, you're going to have to look at customer notifications. If you're a VAR or somebody else out there doing a managed service, you got to stay right on this. Be right on them. And government agencies, systemic impacts on federal networks and critical issues. So if you have F5, you know who you are. It is now time to watch very, very closely for emergency updates. John, what do you think about this?
Yeah. So, the scary thing is that it's the source code leak here for Big IP and the other F5 stacks. And the big problem with that is that every piece of code is something as complicated as what we're talking about here is going to be so massive. There are going to be 0-day vulnerabilities that nobody knows about yet. And with a good AI tool, you could probably comb through that code and run it through thousands and thousands of cycles and start finding those zero-day vulnerabilities that the vendor, in this case F5, has no idea about and maybe won't know about for a long, long time until the exploits start showing up in the public. And then you are like pwned and completely, under the control or at least having your data stolen by these foreign actors. So just again, stay on top of the updates. And again, that's not one patch that's coming out next week. That's patches going forward in perpetuity because that source code has been compromised. And so every time a new vulnerability is found, and there's going to be multiples, then F5 will release a patch. There'll be good doobies about that, but they might not find out about it until months or even years after that exploit is in the wild. And that's the scary part about this.
So I have to say, my primary evaluation of the potential impact of this is denial of service, right? So you need to have a plan. And here's why. If you are hearing this and you are not deeply exploring zero trust networking right now, you need to go do that.
Yeah.
If you are encrypting all your traffic across load balancing, the possibility of them of exfiltrating your data is nearly zero, right? Especially if you're running a good, multi-ratchet key encryption algorithm. There's even ones that can stand up to quantum decryption these days, the triple ratchet stuff. But what you're really watching for in this is whacking that service completely, taking it offline. So you need to have a plan for what would happen if a foreign actor wiped out your load balancing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. How would you respond to that? Because I don't think they're going to be able to steal data.
Yeah. So here's the interesting thing about that is so you're absolutely right, Lou. But the problem is the reason you put something like F5 in there is that you have enough load. Let's say it's your public website. Maybe you're an e-commerce site. So, some competitor to Amazon, and you're using F5 in order to spread out that load so that you can actually take all the traffic that you get. If you have to remove that from your environment, because it's been compromised, you got to go fix it. Then during that time, your ability to serve traffic is going to be dramatically reduced. So again, keep on the updates because you probably can't live without your load balancer for very long.
There are other ways to do load balancing, though.
Yeah.
There are. I mean, I have done in-router and in-switch load balancing before. It's not as sophisticated, but it works.
Agreed. There are options. So there are options. So have a backup plan. Look at
those exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that's about it, John.
It is. And before we wrap up, I just want to mention that we got some listener feedback. Glenn sent me a message on X, and he said that this was in response to our September 28th episode, so a few weeks ago, where we talked about the SNMP flaws in Cisco from a few weeks ago. And he found a new article on Hacker News, and he forwarded it over to us, where hackers are now deploying Linux rootkits via Cisco SNMP flaws and creating, taking advantage of this 0 day, the zero disco is what they're calling it. Because that turns out the password that was compromised, the hard-coded password was disco. And so now the exploit is called zero disco. And so this is just going from bad to worse. We know some of these systems are out there and may not ever get a patch. Some are maybe the patch is available but not deployed because the system's been forgotten about. So again, make sure that you're looking through your network, find out if you have any Cisco gear you weren't aware of. Can it get a patch? Patch it. If not, then you got to figure out a replacement for it because that
you got to get new stuff in nasty. There. You just because it works doesn't mean it's safe.
100%.
So you absolutely got to get that stuff out of your network if it's not supported.
And so that is going to cover this episode. We couldn't do this podcast without listeners like you and without listeners like Glenn. We would love to hear what you think. Do you have another topic you want us to cover? Do you have thoughts on these vulnerabilities that we've been talking about? Are you using F5? Are you concerned about this? And so forth. You can send email to feedback@itsparkcast.com or hit us up on X like Glenn did at IT SPARC Cast. If you're on YouTube, you can leave a comment down below. Again, we read every single comment, every piece of feedback. We respond to most. And if it's particularly interesting or insightful, we'll read it out on our broadcast. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, turn on notifications. That's really going to help this channel grow. It's also going to make sure that you never miss an episode. With that, from the world of enterprise IT and security, take care.
Stay safe out there, okay?
Don't let the roller get away. Need to patch this port before lunch. Easy, easy. Whoa, steady. Almost there, just a little push. Got it. Link light's green.